And welcome to Ducks Know Sports. And this week is my 9th and final installment of my NFL previews. With all my division previews out of the way, it's time to get down to the good stuff. What people really care about, the issues, the award winners, my Super Bowl pick, who has the best cheerleaders. I'll solve it all in this week's edition of Ducks Know Sports NFL preview. Let's start with the biggest award of them all, MVP. Could go with a lot of great players here, but like a guy like Drew Brees, or Tom Brady, or a Matt Schaub, possibly, maybe even a dark horse like a Matt Ryan, maybe Eli Manning, but I gotta go with, in my opinion, the best player in the league, Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers. A stellar guy. In my opinion, the best player in the league. And he's got a lot of weapons. And I think the Packers are going to run wild this year in the NFC. And I'm just big on the Green Bay Packers this year. And Aaron Rodgers is the number one reason why. This guy's just a stud from start to finish. And I expect Aaron Rodgers to put up another great fight, maybe even 4,000 plus season, maybe 5,000. I think he's going to have a great year with all his great weapons. I expect Aaron Rodgers to be the MVP for 2012. All right, Defensive Player of the Year. Again, could go with a lot of great players, but I got to go with the future Hall of Famer, Ed Reed. Ed Reed, in my opinion, one of the greatest safeties to ever play. Best safety in the league right now, no doubt. And possibly could be his last year. Said, seeing what we're talking after this season. Which hope doesn't happen, because I just love watching Ed Reed play. And I hope he plays for the next 10 years. Because I love watching Ed Reed play. But I think he'll have another great year because, let's be honest, when the ball is thrown anywhere in his direction, it's getting picked off, and it's probably going to be 6. I think Ed Reed and the Baltimore Ravens will have another stellar year and are a Super Bowl contending team. And I think Ed Reed's a big reason why that, and I think Ed Reed is your 2012 Defensive Player of the Year. Offensive Rookie of the Year. And really this comes down to 2 guys. Number 1, Andrew Luck, and number 2, Robert Griffin III. And I got to go with the number 1 guy. I got to go with Andrew Luck. In the preseason, he's looked amazing. Not saying Griffin has. Griffin's looked good too, but Andrew Luck's just looked a little bit better than Griffin right now, and he has chemistry right now, and I really like what I'm seeing from the Colts right now. Maybe, possibly, if Andrew Luck can get on a roll, we've seen in the past, a team that comes out of nowhere, the Colts could possibly be that team, and Andrew Luck will be a big reason for that. I think Andrew Luck might get his lumps, will get some lumps this year, but in all, I think he'll have a great season. I think he'll have more touchdowns than interceptions. And I expect Andrew Luck to be your Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I expect it to be a close vote. I think Griffin, it's going to be a really tight race. I think it's going to be a great year for rookie QBs, just like it was last year. But I expect Andrew Luck to be maybe that much better than Griffin. And I expect Andrew Luck to be your 2012 Offensive Rookie of the Year. All right, moving to Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I'm going to go with Nick Perry from the Green Bay Packers. Nick Perry's going to have a lot of room to run because when you're on the other side of Clay Matthews Jr., you're not going to get a lot of protection. You're going to get a lot of open space to run because Clay Matthews Jr. is such a beast that will demand all that respect in the league coming off the edge. Clay Matthews going to get 2 guys on every time, and I just think Nick Perry's going to have a lot of room to run, and I expect him to have 10 plus sacks this year and start his career off right. And I expect Nick Perry to be your 2012 Defensive Rookie of the Year. And moving to Coach of the Year. And for here, I could go with a few people because Coach of the Year really comes down to who surprised us this year. That's what it is. Usually it's not the best coach. It's always the most surprising team. Right? And I'm big on the Carolina Panthers this year. I think they'll be near the playoffs, possibly make the playoffs. So I'm got to go with Ron Rivera from the Carolina Panthers. Great upcoming team with, of course, Cam Newton, an up-and-coming defense, great weapons. I really like the Carolina Panthers in the future. I think they're going to take maybe the next step this year, and I think Ron Rivera will be a big reason for that. Great coach, course, former defensive coordinator with the Chargers and the Bears. And I expect Ron Rivera to be a good head coach this year. I expect the Panthers take another step. And I like Ron Rivera to be your 2012 Coach of the Year. Okay, moving to our next award. Comeback Player of the Year. This one's a crapshoot because you really never know. That's why it's called Comeback Player, because you don't really see it. But I'm going to go with Randy Moss. With the 49ers now, of course, didn't play last year. And I think we're going to see a motivated Randy Moss, which means a scary Randy Moss. And like I said in my NFC West preview, I love the 49ers this year. Think they could possibly go to the Super Bowl this year. And I think Randy Moss would be a reason for that. And I just love Randy Moss to have a big year with Alex Smith because there's not really much there. So he's going to get the ball a lot. And I expect Randy Moss to be your 2012 Comeback Player of the Year. All right, now moving to who's going to make the playoffs, who's not going to make the playoffs. Here are my playoff picks. The AFC in the East, I like the Patriots. In the North, I like the Ravens. In the South, I like the Texans. In the West, even though I've had a bad preseason, I still like the Broncos with Peyton Manning. And my wildcard team, there's something about the Bengals I just like. I know the Bengals only once have gone to the playoffs back-to-back years, but I think it's going to be twice after this year. And I love the Bengals this year. I expect Andy Dalton to continue. I think the Bengals will have a great year and go back to the playoffs as a wildcard team. My last team could have gone with a lot of teams here. Teams like the Chargers, but just don't think they have enough. The Steelers, but I think there's a little too old. And the Jets, but they've just been a mess from off-season and even the preseason, so I'm not touching that. So I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs. Expect them to have a bounce-back year. Jamal Charles is back this year. Hopefully can get back to form. And I expect the Kansas City Chiefs to go back to the playoffs as your second wildcard team. And then the NFC in the East, I like the Eagles. In the North, I like the Packers. In the South, I like the Falcons. In the West, I like the 49ers. And for my wildcard teams, I like the Chicago Bears. In my opinion, probably would have made the playoffs last year if they didn't get a lot of injuries down the stretch. So I expect the Bears, if healthy, will make the playoffs this year. And my last wildcard team, I said it, I think they'll be a surprise team this year, but I love the Carolina Panthers to make the playoffs this year. I think they're a great team on the rise, and I expect Cam Newton to have another great year. I think Ron Rivera will be the coach of the year, as I said. And I think the Carolina Panthers are the shock team of the year and make the playoffs in 2012. But here's the big one. Your Super Bowl matchup for Super Bowl 47, of course, going down in New Orleans. I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers over the Houston Texans. I expect Houston to go to the playoffs for the second time in a row. But they're going to be a little short because they're going to go against the juggernaut known as the Green Bay Packers. And the Green Bay Packers are your Super Bowl 47 champions. Well, that's it for now. Because this NFL season should be good, as always. And it all gets started like just over a week. Cannot wait. Love the NFL. Of course, through the season, we'll be having weekly previews of each week. So, should be a good one. And until next time, I'm Aaron Duxbury saying, I'm Dux. And I know sports. Kind of.